Hey guys, Adam Katz for the Hardcore Camping Gear channel. Today we're looking specifically at the Ghillie Kettle, and I'm going to be comparing it to the Kelly Kettle, which I previously owned but sold before I moved from northern Nevada to Florida recently and wasn't able to take a whole bunch of my gear. One of the first things I ordered to start rebuilding my collection of hardcore camping gear was the Ghillie Kettle, and I'm going to explain why I chose the Ghillie Kettle and whether or not it really makes a difference. Stick with me. So when I first got the Kelly Kettle, this was a few years ago, I really was a little bit disappointed. And you can go back and watch my video where I almost burned down my outdoor patio area. No fault of the Kelly Kettle, completely user operator error. I also got the ultimate variant of the base camp, like I just mentioned, which came with a lot of accoutrements that I found rather annoying. It had like a little grill you can put in the base of it to turn it into a hobo stove if you have like incredibly tiny hands and small pieces of meat you wanted to cook on, I guess. But you know, the unit really doesn't make for a good backpacking camping stove of sorts. So I thought, well, maybe it could work as like an emergency preparedness type gear. And I got the cooktop that goes under the pot holder that goes on top. And once the whole thing was assembled, the whole thing was so high that I was really worried the few times I did take it out to use it that the dog was going to knock it over, or I was going to back into it and tip it over and cause a forest fire or something. It just seemed clunky. But when it came time to reorder, I was looking at the Ghillie Kettle or the Kelly Kettle, and I basically decided to go with the Ghillie Kettle because it has, instead of a polymer cork, it just has a metal top. So there's no way that sucker is going to melt. Now, let me say this. I'm not dissing on the Kelly Kettle. Actually, having owned both, I could say they are both pretty much equal products. They're both extraordinarily well built. They both do what they say they're going to do. And they both work fine if you just take some precautions. I want to back up for just a second and explain why I decided to get another Kelly Kettle / Ghillie Kettle to begin with. So I mentioned that we moved from northern Nevada to Florida. We spent the past 6 months traveling around different communities in Florida, living in Airbnbs, trying to find the community that we wanted to settle in. I own an online advertising agency / web design firm, so I can live pretty much anywhere I have an internet connection. And a lot of the Airbnbs didn't have kettles, and so my wife was boiling water in the morning to make coffee, and she remarked, because she doesn't let me in the kitchen, she remarked that it was taking 20 to 25 minutes to boil water in the morning. And by the way, stay tuned. I do a head-to-head comparison between boiling water on the stovetop and the Ghillie Kettle here. But she said, even with the kettle, even with the regular stovetop kettles, it takes a long time to boil the water. It takes forever to boil the water. And so I started thinking, God, maybe it would be good to get one of these Kelly Kettles again for an emergency preparedness piece of gear. Having hot water is really important for cleaning and for cooking. If you want, ready-made food, just add water, that type of thing. And that led me back to investigating the Kelly Kettle and remembering about the polymer style cork, and remembering also about the Ghillie Kettle and thinking, if I'm going to order another one, let's check out this one because I haven't played around with it yet and see how it works. So which one should you get, and what was it that really sold me on this thing? It wasn't the stopper. Here's my advice. They're both great. Both the Kelly Kettle and the Ghillie Kettle, they're both excellent pieces of gear. They're both equally well made. I like both of them. So get whichever one's cheapest. If you live in the UK, it's probably going to be the Ghillie Kettle. If you live in America, maybe it's the Kelly Kettle. They're both good. They're both pretty much the same. My advice is bypass the little hobo stove attachments and the pot burner attachments or the pot carrier attachments. You don't need it. I think there's better ways to cook if you're out camping or if you're overlanding. There's all kinds of other gear you could use for that isn't so tippy and just works better. But for boiling water, this thing is great. Now, I wanted to see how long it actually took to boil water in a regular kettle on the stovetop because it's not something I ever really paid that much attention to, especially considering my wife does most of the cooking. That's a good woman. Stick with me. Check this out. So, in summation, just in case you couldn't read off my watch, took about 6.5 minutes for the Ghillie kettle to boil the water. Took about 25 minutes for the stovetop kettle to boil the water. And I have every reason to believe that the Kelly kettle head to head versus the Ghillie kettle would have been virtually identical because they're pretty much the same design, same concept, same type of product. It's again, one's made in Ireland, the other one's made in the UK. I'm sure there's some superficial differences, but having on both, just get the one that's cheapest. All right, I'm Adam Katz for the Hardcore Camping Gear channel. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all that other good stuff to be the first to know about the next time we release a video. And I've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for you guys. Talk to you soon.